Welcome to a conversation on the Corner Church ethos. We're in week 2. We're talking about valuing being face to face, valuing relationship over transaction. That's it. That's the intro.
What are your at crazy sporting event or concert, like hyped up concert? What's your at that thing personality? Has it changed over time? Think about what was your teenager at big event? Are you a mosh pit kid?
I did mosh as a kid. I think of sports events more than I think of like a concert. Yeah. But at both of those growing up, and to this day, I would rather be participating in the sport than watching the sport. Yeah. I don't enjoy watching that much. And it's the same for music. I'd rather try to play
the music.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like participating. There is something going to the concert world. There's something maybe it doesn't happen anymore, but there used to be like 1 or 2 people that were a little too old to be up front at a concert. Just like
yes, 303.
I don't think
I look like people around.
I have some mosh pit theology problems.
What does that mean?
I think I'm not a huge fan of fighting. I don't like fighting. And so it is when you just see people that are like wound up a little too much and then bang them into each other. And then, if there's anytime somebody gets hit in the face and they didn't want to, it doesn't go well.
If you're in a mosh pit, you're consenting to being hit.
Usually there's some 35-year-old in there. Or dad. Hey, Dad, let's go. I don't know. I'm not a hug a stranger when somebody scores a goal person.
I might be.
Yeah, you are, right? For sure. You're seeking the embraces.
I don't know if it's ever happened necessarily. I could see how.
I think I am sporting event tofu. I will take on
You're fake?
I will take on the characteristics of the people I'm with.
Yeah.
Or what's happening. Sports are sports. When I went back to this at church on a couple Sundays ago too, but what was it, 2009 MLB tiebreaker between Detroit and the Twins in the Metrodome. That tiebreaker game to get into the
Dome
playoffs.
Still existed then?
Yeah, that 8 or 6, I don't know.
Did you go?
I went with Matt Lucero, and it was insane, and it was so fun.
I thought it was insane.
But I didn't care that much. He was just like, I'm getting tickets, we're going. And then we went, and I was as excited and loud as he was, because I am sporting event tofu.
Yeah, I think there is a big difference between a sporting event. Like last night, I went to the Timberwolves game and they played the Washington Wizards, who have won 1 game so far this year. And so there was definitely in the stadium, there's like a little bit of, we're going to win this game. They're terrible. We came back from being like 28 up, but they came back. But we still won. But there's that and a playoff game where like people are wound up. Expectation is a big thing. But the reason we bring this all up is because, as Greg said, face to face as opposed to shoulder, church can be like church as a lower C, we'll call it Western, whatever. It's more of a global thing. But church can be in the stands. Like, what is church? Well, it's when you're in the stands kind of a thing. And we're not trying to be angsty to that. That's right. Can we agree that?
Yeah.
I think when half of the team are Xers, we can't help but be angsty.
Oh, that's true.
What are you, a Z? I love it when...
I don't know why.
I love it when Abria and her friends go, ugh, there's so many millennials here. And I just like, millennial, like junior high? Wait, no, they're not in junior high anymore.
Full grown.
But, so the sidetrack. I think the thing is if you think of church as being something that you do shoulder to shoulder, as an observer, you're missing 90% plus of what the church is intended to be. Mm-hmm. And so, the question is that, there is value in seeing and having that shared experience, but where does that fall short? If we would leave it at that, hey, the goal of church is to see and experience and watch and observe, and that's it. What is missed, I think, is the value statement.
So I've been doing a lot of recruiting for North Central. And I've recently had the opportunity to do hiring for an assistant coach, hopefully getting help, not doing it by myself. And And something that's become apparent to me with North Central's missions values is that there are degrees of Christian, and if it's a Christian institution. I'll land this plane, I promise. But as I'm recruiting kids, there's like that I was baptized or catechized, and but you can tell as you're talking to them, this is not an active part of their lives. And it's like that's the level that they're okay Christian. I can recruit that kid, and they'll be fine. They'll do fine at North Central. And then there's the kids who are like, oh, I play on my worship team at my youth group, or I feel some sort of calling to do this with my life, and that kid is over here where it's not only will they do well at North Central, but they want to be at North Central. They want to be in an environment where people are actively pursuing that. And so I think it really influences where are you finding the people who can run alongside you?
Yeah.
And I think that as far as the spectator end of things is you can find people that when you see them running, you go, oh, cool, you're doing that, but you're not going to run alongside them. Whereas over here, you're more actively running alongside people. And my experience has been just with the students that I've worked with, the kids who are closer to this end of things tend to be more involved in the other things that we do.
I think Christian University is a good illustrator of it. I think it goes beyond, and it happens in other scenarios too. If you're just a viewer of stuff, it's very easy to complain. This is just one of many things, but I see one is that you just go, it's so easy to be a complainer. What they're doing, I hate that. In the Christian higher ed world, it's these rules are killing me, and well, you chose to come here. They weren't a secret, kind of a thing. But the same in the church world. If you're just an observer, it's very easy to complain about something that isn't necessarily you. There's a different tone. I mean, complaining isn't necessarily bad, but the opportunity to make things better, if it's pointing away as opposed to pointing towards yourself and owning it. But I don't know, I just think, Bundy, you had again, what do you miss if you're just watching?
If you're just watching?
Yeah, if church is just something to watch.
I mean, I think that misses the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. I think there are seasons in life where people are overwhelmed and kind of exhausted and maybe need a little more care. And they maybe in those moments, it's nice to go to a place where you can kind of hide and have quiet. It'd probably be hard to get the care you need in those moments, in hiding in church. But I can see there's seasons where you're just, maybe you've reached your limit and you're just exhausted and you need some time where somebody's just kind of feeding you. I mean, I feel like that sounds so churchy to even say that, but you might need that. I feel like I've had seasons where I just need that. I just need to kind of take it in.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's no value in it, but I do think that if you don't participate, if you don't, how do you go home with heart change? How do you, even if you're just there to check a box and you're not really listening or trying to absorb what's being taught, I don't know how you change. Not that that's the only goal, but
yeah, I think even when empty and wounded, I think there's still a plea to walk with Jesus. Because I think some of Jesus's most difficult words were when said, hey, I just got married. I'll catch up with you. And Jesus said, no, come. Hey, I have family members who just passed away. Well, let the dead bury the dead. And so now those declarations, again, to feel it in context, was the illustrator. The point was, be with Jesus in the things you're doing. It's not being abandoned, not abandon your life and abandon your life. But, that the moment when somebody says, when I say, just wonder to myself, I just need to observe for a little while. It isn't going to be, for me, it's not going to be an aspect, a way to healing. Moving from observer to participant isn't necessarily meaning that you're working the machine that other people watch. I think that's kind of the moment when you go, I don't have capacity to do the things that other people are watching, to be part of the show. Boy, something is really broken in the system when being an active in your faith means that you're just feeding the observation culture.
Well, I think something that, at, we were at a church planner retreat earlier this week, which was really good. And one of the sessions I sat in was really, really good. And I had a question at the end. I might get teary.
Did you ask
it? I could feel it. Yeah, I asked it. But my question was like, how do you do all this with kids? You know, and like everybody was like
having
it's-
kids, like as
Yeah.
a parent.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everyone had answers that were a little too easy. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow,
Mhm.
like, how are your answers so simple? Like, I don't know. Like, it was just really hard to, like, they were like, bring the kids with. And, like, their situations might look different. Like, maybe both parents work at the church versus having a husband that's working full time somewhere else plus managing it. Or their kids were really little. And, like, when the kids are little, like, it's a lot easier to influence little kids versus not easier to influence, but, like, 12 and 14 is a different stage of like whether they care about the same things you care about or not 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds care about whatever they want to care about. Anyways, so it was really like I left kind of feeling like, wow, like I must be doing it all wrong because I have these moments of being really tired. Shoot. But then the next day I went to this talk at North Central and there's a new professor, Dr. Spivey. And she was talking about but she was doing work in the city and like she started this nonprofit in South Carolina and all these things. And I said, how do you do this with kids? And I said, she's like, you wait. She's like, your priority is your kids right now. It's real. She's like, as my kids got older and moved out of the house, like I had way more capacity to do some of these things. But when my kids were at home, the capacity was a lot smaller. And it just made me like, I was really thankful to have like this completely opposite conversation where I was like, oh, thank you for saying this is hard and being like, anyways. So all of that is like the capacity to live life in church. It has to look different. I mean, I feel like I went off a huge spiral, but like it is different for different people, what they can and cannot do. But it doesn't mean that there's not, I mean, you have to be an active participant when your kids are small. Because why would they be an active participant as an adult if they're not having that experience as a kid, you know? So it's just like, I don't know. Ty, your kids are little.
Well,
tell us about it.
So I really like the Fuller Youth Institute. Some of the work that they've done, there's really two determining factors in if kids grown up will maintain any sort of level of faith or connection to a faith community. The number one thing is intergenerational relationships. So relationships with people in the church who are both older and then on the other end younger than them that are not their parents or family. But then the second thing is their parents having active faith practices displayed. So, and for every family that capacity looks different. And so it's something where it's like in our life recently, much to the joy and the difficulty of the church, we do music and in Camden occasionally. And my children are both very musical because both their parents are, but Penny has started wanting to sing the songs with us. And so this last week was the first time she like didn't try to sing randomly, but tried to sing the songs along with us on the mic, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. But
feels like last week. I don't know.
But she's loud. She's a toddler and she's so loud. Fun. And so it's this moment where it's like we're in a small room,
microphone,
as cute as it is. Toddler on microphone in a small room. So there's just adjustments. There's tweaks that have to be made. It's constant adjustment. But even if Penny doesn't get it, she's doing it. And I think that like that's my encouragement is that like being a participant doesn't always mean getting it. Sometimes it means doing it first. And that's like one of the values that we talk about over and over again. And I never agree with everything fully, but the idea of like breaking out of the bounce that mentality of you have to do, believe. You have to check off all the boxes to fit in our group. Whereas like we much more value this idea of like it's about getting in, getting messy, move in a direction, and we have faith that God's Spirit is strong enough to draw you to Himself in that process. And so something that makes Corner unique and part of why I've hung around for 13 years is the idea that we're doing it together. We're not doing it figured out.
Yeah.
We're encouraging you to be a participant.
I mean, Rachel, I can comfort you for a minute, is that your kids will move out soon.
You're the meanest. Let that be shown. Scott is the meanest.
I think
put that on the Instagram.
The shared experience can feel really, really gratifying. Like, again, you have that moment where you're high-fiving and hugging strangers and you leave a stadium and there's still like this buzz in the room. We live 2 blocks from US Bank Stadium, and like the visible feel after a game where we won or we lost is it's bizarre. How people drive, how people connect with each other. It's all happening. And And that, I think that can be true when you see life and faith and real connection to Jesus as this shared observation or this experiential thing where you can have like this high, this buzz that goes after it. But then I go back to the Sermon on the Mount. Life happens. If you hear these words and you don't actually put them into practice, if you hear these words and you just observe when storms come, it's very hollow. But we're going to ask the question, what are some of the obstacles of moving from shared experience to personal connection? And I think like people are really good at, like, there's a million answers to that. Life is busy. Life is hard. People are weird. Whatever. And I think when you look at even like the Proverbs that give declaration of the value of friendship and relationship, when you look at the examples of Jesus, how he connected and related with his disciples, the value of being just the sending out of his disciples, whether it was the 12 or the 70, him doing it communally, go and do this together, wasn't because it was necessarily always easier to do together, but together is important. And until we move from, again, the picture of, it's so cool that we are the church, and you just see rows and rows and rows, as opposed to, isn't it cool that we are the church? And it's like this, it's almost like it's dinner tables. It's two people having a conversation. It's carrying a couch. It's listening to a problem, as opposed to, man, we both have that same really cool experience that we went to and we saw. Until we grab onto that yuck, people will be very disappointed in church.
Yuck.
I like that mosh pit visual. That's like, it might be fun, but it can get a little messy sometimes. Sometimes something turns and somebody starts to hit each other.
Sure.
But hopefully that's not the way it stays.
Yeah.
Everybody works together, but there are messy moments, and
For sure.
and that's
Yeah.
hopefully nobody's punching each other in church. But
But before Rich does the wrap up, I think that one of the comfortable feelings of being lined up shoulder to shoulder is that then it's super easy to ignore what we talked about last week. We can be very different and be the body of Christ. That's what makes us the body of Christ, is our very difference. But if you lined up shoulder to shoulder, observing one thing, there's a super easy assumption that everybody's exactly the same.